So guys, I'm going to pull 2 or 3 more buckets of these potatoes. These ones are staying in. They're Southpaw Mirror from seed. I don't know whether that's blight or whether they've just got burnt because they're up there on top. It shouldn't be blight if they're Southpaw Mirror, but anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to pull a couple more of these. That's the one that I replanted. That's dead, so I want the planting space. Look, I've got cabbage whites in here. They love it, look. Bloody things. So yes, I might pull a couple from this side. They've died off. If you know, they like if you might like tomatoes, really, you get determinate and indeterminate, and these are mid-range potatoes, so they'll only grow so long. They don't grow and grow and grow. But whereas a main crop will grow to end of season, or it's diseased or frost. Yeah, I've got in the bottom here, these are Victorias, so I'll leave them as well. Or the ones at the front of Victorias, but the ones at the back are Charlotte's. So what I'll do is I'll pull a few buckets and see what I get. Look at that. And anyone interested about the quail that I hatched, about 3 weeks old now. I think I can spot 2 males in there already, but there's 16 out of 19. I lost 2 on the second night, and the third one it's got funny legs. It's still alive, but it's downstairs, and see how it goes. But it's only half their size. We thought nature would take it, but nature didn't, and my daughter convinced me not to dispatch it humanely, so we'll have to look what happens there. But they're doing all right. So guys, these are just another 2 buckets. I took the third one out that I replanted, and because I replanted it with root on, I left that on it, but that's actually split a bit, well, it's damaged anyway, but it's still food. I took this one right from bottom, and the reason I took it is because there was 1 horn on it, and when I took one above it I squashed it, so it's not going to grow anywhere. And the other plant that was in it is obviously dead and finished, so let's see what we get out of this. Very wet. It was at the bottom though, so it does tend to get wetter down there. I had some comments on that other video with mulch on it from a couple of people, Woody and Digwell in particular, saying about slugs, causing slugs. I fully understand what they were saying, and I did comment back to Woody that on that roof stout bed I did, I mean that's all straw or hay, and I had a slow worm living in there, so that's a natural predator, isn't it, for the yeah, I think that was too wet. I didn't like that wet. That's a natural predator for the slugs. That's a pebble. For the slugs. So I think it's regaining balance. It didn't really. Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't had much of a slug problem this year. So I think when you're doing something like that, you might have some problems early on, but once it's built up, I think you've just got a lot more predators. That was pathetic, weren't it? Look at that. You've got a lot more predators, haven't you? So I think that's the bonus of doing the deep mulch. Yeah, so like I was saying with deep mulch, I think we've took to farming attitude, like where farming or gardening, even like farming, whereas we clear everything. Everything's clear, it has to be dug, and everything must be clean and everything away from it. But I mean, that's what happened when with Great Depression with Dust Bowls. They ploughed it and ploughed it, fed stuff with chemicals, and oil and the soil just becomes dead and inert and turns to dust and blows away, and that's what happens. So I think, oh, that's a better one. So I think, you know, the attitude we have, we try to make everything almost sterile, and I don't think that's a good. Look at the size of that. Wow. That's like a complete difference, isn't it? But yeah, everything's sterile, and I'm trying to go more natural. I mean, bio, I don't use any chemicals. Feeds, any feeds that I use for my tomatoes are all bio, just because, well, I know what's gone in. We had a nice little harvest of tomatoes, only small ones, but from one of the Gardener's Delight, and a couple from that Basil Biter, BR Biter, and the Coles, because they come on, they were the first to actually ripen. But again, I only use bio feed on them. I'm not bothered about pumping chemical into them. I'd rather have something that's good and small and chemical free than something that's massive and full of chemicals, it's being sprayed on it or whatever. So there you go, there's a difference, and they all had 2 potatoes in. I think that one at bottom just were too wet. I put it at the bottom and it had the single hole in the middle, so it's probably just sat. Let's give them a quick bash. They're quite big for Charlottes. We'll get them away, see what we've got. We've got one good bucket, one not so good bucket. I will go through this again quickly while I'm filling this back in. Right, got myself a plastic bag this time. So I'm weighing them all together. I'll try both scales. I know one scale is a suitcase scale, it's not fantastic, so that's madness. That's saying 1.7 kilograms. I'm going to have to try wife's scales just to see how far out these things are, because I don't like that. I mean, that's telling me 800 grams. Right, I'm going to try wife's scale. Bear with me. Right then, I'm back. On. 0. 0. Well, look at that. 1.5 kilos on that. 800 grams on that. And 1.2 on that. So there you go. I know that's a good scale. So I probably underweighed my last lots. I got a low weight on them just because I used them other scales. But that's the official thing now. 1.48 kilos. Sorry, 1.487, yeah. I don't know whether I can change it to pounds. Can it change to pounds? Ounces. .4, 2.5 pounds. So like I say, I used them other scales and they were very far out, just like my filming is. So before I do go, I'm going to plant these buckets back up. I'll show you this one, what I'm putting in here. These are pongo beans from Bill and Val, what I say, from last year. I've got some more which I'll be planting into the bed when onions come out. I'm planting them direct. I know these seeds are good. I did try some other beans from my old bean, which got very sketchy germination, let's say. So these, I'm just going to spread them round, and these will go on bottom. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beans, or bean. In fact, I'm going to double them up, just in case. And beans grow alright together. When I plant them in, normally in garden, when I start them early, I put 3 in, but these bean seeds should be good really. Some contacts for them, and I'll stick them straight in on bottom. I'll show you the rest when they're done. So guys, that's that replanted. Now just to recap what I've got in here. Kohlrabi, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a broccoli. That's a cauliflower. A fennel. For fits and giggles now, I had a courgette plant spare. So I've put that in just to see what happens. And in this one are the Korean melons. There's 2 in there, and what I'll do is I'll train them up strings, and then they'll wind their way up there. Last year I put some cucumbers in, this year I will put some more cucumbers in. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 buckets that are second earlies, which are the Charlottes, so there will be, the other stuff will be left a bit longer. Like I said, these are Victorias in these smaller buckets, and at the top is Southpaw Mira, so they are main crop potatoes really, but if they all die off I'll pull them, and then we'll see what happens here, because I'm pretending that this is my balcony garden in my little apartment, if I was so to grow, and I want to find out as much as I can what I can grow in that space. Don't forget, it's just over a foot wide and it's 6 foot long, just over 6 foot long, 2 meters. So again, if you like potatoes, Spud O Matic, give us a thumbs up. If you don't, give us a thumbs down. Drop a comment in, love your comments, and tell me what you think. It's nice to be nice.